All right, I have to tell you, John, so I've been away 3 out of the 4 weeks. The greatest thing ever. I highly recommend it. If you can do that every summer. And I've been watching this team sort of from afar. Thank God the Kirk stuff seems like it's behind us for now. I'm sure if he starts playing poorly, it'll all resurface. But the guy that I keep reading about, that everybody is talking about, is Terrelle Pryor. Everyone is hyping this guy up. What have you seen so far, John? And I'm just expecting huge things now, way more than I maybe did when they.
Yeah, and I would always listen, and I always, after doing this a while, it's like you try to temper expectations, even if you see a guy doing well, because you have to say, we're just in July, we're just in August, it's training camp. What does it really mean? We'll find out, because too often people say, well, you said this. It's like, well, this is what it was back then. What I know right now is the guy looks good. Yeah. And I think, like, where you really see him standing out right now, on some of the comeback routes and all that, that's where he's creating his greatest separation, because you have to honor his deep speed. Right. And, I mean, he's a fast guy. And I know it always, with Pryor, it's always like, well, people don't realize how fast he is. Well, I think they kind of do now, because corners are they have to honor him up top. So, for example, the other day, he's going one-on-one against Breeland. Breeland is running with him. Well, Pryor is able to stop, come back, creates about 5 yards of separation. Sick. So now you have a chance to turn and maybe do something with the ball. And then also the second thing, the size. Yes. There are times where he's running across the middle where, again, it's Breeland. He's been covered by Norman too, but with Breeland a couple times, Breeland's in pretty good position, but Pryor's just bigger. Physics wins out. Cousins can throw the ball to him. There's a little bit more margin for error.
And that's what makes him a potential freak, right? That size, speed combo. I mean, let's be honest, how many guys have that in the league or have in years past? Who would you compare him to if he played up to that size and speed, that kind of God-given ability? Who would you compare him to?
I don't even want to go down the road guys who have that size and speed are guys like Calvin Johnson. I mean, not many guys have that. I'm not saying Pryor is like him, but the combination of the size and speed. Now,
rare.
Calvin Johnson, it's rare. It's very rare. And the one thing you wonder is, and this is one thing you hear, is like, well, how will he respond to more physical coverage? Those kind of things that guys like Johnson are used to seeing and know how to deal with. That's always a big thing for a guy, because he has so many other things going for him. And I think, like, one thing that is impressive, and, guys who are long striders can have a hard time coming in and out of breaks because you got to get the choppy feet and all that. Right. He does a pretty good job there. And when you watch him, like, in those 4-cone drills, the other day I'm watching him. He's in one 4-cone drill, Jamison Crowder's in the other, and it's just you're going in and around cones and breaking down around each cone, and he's basically matching Crowder in terms of the time it took him to get around those cones. That's sick. So I think, I think there is a rare combination, but guys will still say, even when he signed, people knew what he was about, and they still consider him a raw receiver. Right. So I don't think it's unrealistic to expect him to get that 70 catch level by any means. I mean, that's where he should be. But is he a 1,500-yard receiver? Well, I don't know yet. Right. But I think you can certainly expect him to be very productive.
What else is encouraging, and then we can move on from him, though, is he seems to have the work ethic. If his social media is any indication, the guy seems to be out there grinding every day. And I'm reading that he's one of the first guys out there, one of the last guys to leave. Is that true?
He's the anti-EB. I believe he didn't take a vacation.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give the guy credit.
And I will say this. A lot of times I'm dubious when guys just post their workouts on Instagram and all that. Why are you doing that? And it doesn't always – it can mean you're working hard then, but, this is all we know.
Well, like Deshaun Jackson doing it on the beach was kind of a joke. You know what I mean, to me. Right. Yeah.
I will say that I do believe I is a hard worker. I don't doubt that for a second. Right. I went and spent time with him in April specifically for that reason, because I knew that and I wanted to watch him work. I know that he doesn't take time off. I know, like, when you watch him in practice, I mean, he's always doing something to try, whether it's crunches, whether it's whatever, catching the ball, whatever. He's always doing something. So, yes, he is a hard worker, and when you combine the freak talent with the hard work, it's, he's going to be productive. Again, I think from there, how productive, if he can be a 90-catch guy in 1,500 yards or 75 and 1,100. Their difference is some other factors at receiver. But the work ethic and the freakish talent and athleticism allow him to be very productive.